We're going to start with the teams, just because there's going to be a few things I want to show you once the teams are created, okay, with the communication tool. When you are going to be setting up the teams, they are under Manage, and we're going to go to Teams. You do have to make sure that you're setting up the teams in the correct season. So currently, the season is set for 2023. So you can go up to the breadcrumb up here and change it for 2024, and you can create the teams. Now you might notice there's a yellow bar at the top. This is just indicating that the team, or it's not the current season. Creating the teams is not a problem with that bar there. It's just letting you know that it's not, the season has not been switched over yet. Okay. So there is a couple different methods that we can do when we're creating the teams. We're going to click over here. So again, we do have the rollover, create a single team, or you can create a multiple team. So I'm going to choose create one team first. When you are doing it, you do have to set up a team name. So I'm going to put test team, and you have to give it a short name. Now you do have to select your category for it. It is optional if you want to put a team fee on there, the colors, home and away. If you can also put a sponsor if you would like to. When you're adding the sponsor, you do have the option of adding that to the roster if you want to. Okay. You can put a tournament team in, or a number in, a phone number. The address will get pulled from whatever is listed under Manage and Organizations. But again, you can always change it if you need to. You do have to select an address type. Now, the only option right now is a main address. So you do have to populate that. Okay. You can select if it's for a certain period. If you leave this blank, it is for the regular season. So you don't have to add something in there. Only if you're going to add like an event, a fall ball or a school period. Okay. Then we simply click next. Now, when you come to the team contact, if you want to add any information in here, then you have to add all of the information. Okay. So, again, if you want to put your team contact, this can also be done later. So as you can see, most of these ones are have the mandatory little flag on it. So again, if you want to do it, you can. You can also have it displayed on the roster. If you don't want to add it at this time, or don't want to add a team contact information in, you can simply skip this step. And then that brings us to the final, which is just the review. Again, you can click the edit, make any edits at any time. And then we're simply going to click create. Okay. So the next method that we have is we're going to click add, and I can create multiple teams at a time. So I'm going to click to add a team. I'm going to put my name and my short name. I do have to select the category again. Now I can clone it if I want to. So let's say you're going to have two U7 teams. So I can quickly or easily just copy it. And then I'm just going to change the name. Okay. So again, I can keep doing that if I want to. I'm going to add, but maybe this team is going to be a different category. I can do that as well. Okay, and then I'm just going to hit create. So now it has added all those teams together. When you are doing multiple teams, it doesn't give you the option to do the contact information. Okay. Now, if you do have teams that you've created from last year, you can go in here and click rollover. I'm going to click to copy from the past season. I'm going to click search. Now, if I want to, I can just do a division. So if I want, say, if I'm only going to copy the U9s, I can do that. And it's going to find all the U9 teams that I've had from last year. So maybe this year I'm only going to have 2 of them. I'm going to click add. So when you're doing a rollover, it does pull in the last year's division. But maybe I want to change it. Maybe they're going to be maybe they're going to be U11 this year. And then I'm just going to click submit. Do you guys have any questions about that? Creating teams is actually fairly simple to do. Again, it's just a couple different steps, whether you're copying it over, creating one, or creating multiple at the same time. But do you have any questions about that?
I will just add some others. Like we did add all of the teams last year. So
okay.
if you guys had any rep teams that were in leagues with us or house league teams as well, like community league level, they will already be in there. So
okay, perfect.
Those
Great.
associations, yeah, they're going to be able to roll over. We are going to be pretty picky with team names just for the standings and stuff. So if you have one, they've already been in there, but we would like it. So for example, if you were the Parkland Twins Gold, we want to put 18U, and then if it's Bale or AAA or AA or A, we would like it to be in that order. So Parkland Twins team name, 18U, and then like age division, and then category. So
okay. So once you do have your teams created,
sorry, just
oh yeah, go ahead.
Question. What's the, so we have all of our teams here from last year.
Okay.
I guess I'm not under, like, what's the precondition to create a team? So I know I'm a small association, so I'm only have one team kind of per age division.
Okay.
And you were saying, oh, you can roll it over to next year, but now you might be 11U. What did you mean by that? So is it containing the same roster, but then
no, so the
yeah.
people that you have on the team, it doesn't carry it forward at all.
Okay.
But when I'm going in here, I'll just select this one. When you are creating the teams, if you do it by the rollover method, it will pull the exact information that you had from last year. So if it was U5, it'll be U5. But let's say this year you're not going to have a second U5, but you're going to have the same number of teams, but they're different divisions. You can just change it as you're doing before you hit create. Does that make sense? Or do you want me to, I can do it one more time, because creating a team is kind of easy. So it kind of goes.
And then like, how do you know? So I went from the first year I managed my Rally Caps teams. I had 6. The next year I came and I had, I don't know, I had like 19 players register. And last year I had 38 players register.
Okay, yeah.
So like, so that's kind of the precondition. So I've put out my registration. Hey, friends, come and register for baseball.
Right.
They come in, they register their children, and then I have a big giant list of 38 kids. All of a sudden I'm going like, yeah, whoa, I need to split this into 2 or 3 teams. Is that when I'm doing this? Or like, when do you plan for this?
So you can create teams at any time in the season.
Okay.
What I would probably do is wait until you know how many teams you need and then create them. But if, let's say you've created 3 teams, but you only need 2, you can delete a team as well. So as long as there's no players or staff rostered on that team, you're able to delete. So if I just say this one here, I do not need that one. I'm just going to go to the actions because you can see I have no players, no bench staff on there. And I'm simply going to delete it. Okay. Did that not, why didn't that work?
And so we might do this. So if we have, say, a large group of 11 U's or something, and we so this last year we got together, we assessed them, and then we made 2 teams. So I'm doing this kind of after the fact, right? Okay.
Yeah, like I said, if you end up doing it ahead of time, you just delete it. Or you can just, if you find that you need a second team, you just create a new one.
Okay. Yep, makes sense. Thank you so much.
No problem. Does anyone want me to go back and do that one more time? Because again, I know there's only a couple steps in there, so it kind of goes fast when you're creating the team, but I'm happy to do it again, just in case you didn't catch it. You can just raise your hand if you want me to do that again. Okay. So once you are having the teams created, I'm going to show you a couple of the features that we have on here. So the basic team information will be along the top. If you have it, whatever logo is onto your association, it does get pulled in there. We do have a table at the top. This is going to let you know all the breakdown of your team. So how many males, how many females, ones that you say prefer to self-describe or prefer, and you're also going to say how many bench staff you have, how many tryouts, how many imports, over or underage. Okay. I do want you to see this pending deficient, and I'm going to explain that a little bit. Okay. So a pending deficient status, it is letting you know that there is information on the member's profile that is not complete. So I will show you how that works when I roster somebody here, but I just want to point that out. Go ahead. Oh, it's prefer to self-describe and prefer not to say. So it's just like the different ones on the bench staff or the gender identities. So there is 3 different tabs on here. Obviously, this is the team roster. So I'm going to expand each section. I'm going to add players and bench staff. For the team info, this is what you've set up in the beginning. Again, you can always go in here and change it. Let's say you set it up for U5 female. You want to change it to U5 male or mixed. You can do that by just editing that, and then you can save it again. Okay. We also have a section called the team comments. So you can go in here and add comments, or your branch or district offices can do that as well. What this is for is, let's say you submit your team for approval. Maybe there's something that they need to have corrected. They can go in here and add a comment. Player number 1 needs birth certificate. Okay, whatever the thing is, you're going to be able to go in here and see these comments, and that's going to let you know what you need to get done, or what needs to be added so you can get an approved roster. I've also seen a few teams go in here and they just add some information about the team. You can, like for at the beginning of the year, I have a few people that add in what tournaments this team is going to go into. So they have it. And so instead of writing it down on a paper note, so you need to remember that this team is going to go away in June for a tournament. You can add that information in here. At any time, you can go in here and remove any information. So You can use that for back and forth to getting it submitted, what thing is, but if you have to add any information that you just want to keep track of for that team, you can add that as well. The team approval logs for this, anytime your status of the team gets changed. So right now, if I look at the top, the status is draft. When I submit it for approval, it'll be pending approval. If it gets approved or rejected, it all gets stamped and it's going to enter a log in here. Okay. For the team.
Donna, we just got a question in the chat here. It just says, will we get a notification via email or do we need to constantly log in and look for it?
For the team comments in here?
That's all it said. So I don't know if it, yeah, she said yes.
Or I don't believe you get a notification for the team comments for here. So yeah, you would have to go in, but what you would get a notification for is if you change the status of the team. So if you if your team is submitted for approval and it gets rejected, you would get a notification for that. And in here, you would go in here and find the reason.
Yeah, and I would say to add to that, you will get, because if we put a comment in there, we'll likely deny the team. So that'll probably happen. Like, you won't need necessarily a notification for the comment because we'll deny the team and then it'll come back in there. But this, keep in mind, this also, we won't need to approve or anything teams that aren't in our leagues. So if you have teams that are in the rep leagues or like A, AAA, AA, then we will use this. But if you don't, we'll still have you guys roster the players, but we won't need you to try and get on a team other than like the community leagues and stuff like that are run by us. But if you just have a 9U team or something else like that, just for insurance purposes, we'll need them added to the roster, but nothing else.
Okay. Okay, so for the team settings, your branch can go in here and add restrictions for your team. They can add whether or not they want certain qualifications for your coaches and bench staff to have, or how many players you can have in a team, as well as how your roster gets printed. So if your branch does set up any team restrictions, you're going to be able to see that in this section. Okay. One of the things at the top, we have a verify rules. If by default it is blue, that is letting you know that there no violations against the team team restrictions are in there. If this turns red, it does mean that you have something that you need to either address or it's giving you a warning. Let's say you have a team that has the coach doesn't have the full qualification yet. It may turn red, letting you know that you have a coach that has that, or maybe it needs their background check if that's one of the restrictions that has it in. Okay. So you could click that at any time. It does take you to that. If there is a warning against a player or a staff member, it will be highlighted in yellow and it will show you which member it is for. Okay. So when you are ready to roster, we're going to click add. Now you can just put first name, last name, or participant number, or you can simply just click search. Okay. By default, it will only show you for the ages or the members in that age division. When you find them, you can just click here, click next. If you need to, you can always open up the quick view so you can view the member's profile. You're going to give them a position on the team and you're going to click add. Okay. Now you're going to do that with each of those different sections. So I'm going to add a bench staff now in. I'm going to say she's head coach. Okay. Now, when you are adding members to the teams, we do have other options of doing that. If you have a team from last year, you're going to be able to search, find that team, and you can add players that way. You can also do it by birth date range. Now, this is kind of the same as doing just simply search here because it's going to show you just the members anyways. But if you wanted to narrow it down for your birth date, you can put a range in. And I'm going to jump over to the validate member. Let's say you have a player or bench staff, you can't seem to find them. So I've gone in here, I've added a name, I've gotten no results. You can simply go over to validate member. Now you do have to do it by participation number. So I'm just going to click a participant in here, click valid. Oh, let me just find a member. Give me 1 second. So I have to search by participant number. I can validate them as a player, coach, or staff. I can also validate them whether or not they're an active player or if they're an AP player or affiliate. And I'm going to click next. Now that's going to tell me why I wasn't able to find them. For this one, the age is not correct. This one, it's a U5 team. This child is 9 years old. And I think I also put, she's a female and it was a male team that I put on. Okay. Now you can do that validate member from the member's profile. It does it in the opposite way. You have to select the team. It will already have the ID number. Okay. Now, once you have members on the team, I want you to look at the flags that I have here. When I said at the beginning, the pending deficiency. So if I have anything here in a flag, it's going to automatically put them in a pending deficiency if I submit the roster. So some of the flags that you might see here are if their waivers are not signed. This one is I have an unconfirmed profile. Maybe their address needs to be updated. So it's going to let you know. You can hover over that area. It's always going to let you know what it is. So maybe this one just has a waiver. I'm going to send them a communication. Let them know. So this isn't one way that you can send a communication. From each of these sections, I can go in here, send communication. Now, because I've done that in the active roster section, it pulled all of my active rosters. Let's say I only need to send it to this one. I can do that. Okay. It goes the same as when I'm in the team officials area. If I send a communication from there, it's only going to pull from my bench staff that are rostered. Okay. If I want to send a communication to the full team, I can do it from the action button at the top of the screen. So I can send a communication from here. It's going to pick up all of my active roster, my affiliates, and my bench staff. Again, I can download and make a contact list. I can remove somebody if I don't need to, or I can add more participants. Okay. The other things that you're going to be able to do from the sections. So if I go to the active roster, the action button, I can also edit the roster. This is for adding the positions or home and away jerseys if I want to do that. So I can add it in bulk. I'm going to put a jersey number in. Oops. I'm going to click save. Is there any questions about that?
Yeah, so we actually there's 4 questions right now in the chat. I'll just start with the first one. So Chris is asking, for player rostering, what were the tryout and imported check boxes for? Now, I'll let you answer that, but I don't think we will necessarily need to use the tryout at all. And same thing with the importer. Is that transfer stuff, related stuff?
Well, yeah, some people have, if you want to only restrict how many imports you're allowed to have on the team,
Yeah.
then you can indicate it. So when I'm in there, I can indicate whether or not they're an import,
Okay.
so I can just keep track.
Okay.
And that's the
So
same with the
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So that will work for some, like if two teams are within the Bale and the AAA, that'll work for associations that do that because they're only allowed 7 imports. So if you want to track that, that's how that would work. The second question was, how do you find the participant ID if it's their first year?
So when I'm adding a member, the player, again, it's going to let you know that by default, it's going to be in here. If I'm going to find the member ID because I couldn't find that member, I'm just going to simply go to the members. Let's say I was looking for a certain, I'm going to look for a certain member. Trying to think of a name that was on here. So I used a couple different filters. So I knew that I was looking for a certain age group. I didn't know the last name, so I just put a little question or percentage sign in. When I go to the member's profile, the member ID is going to be listed right here. So if you hover about the end of that, there is a little copy section. Okay. So now that I'm just on a member's profile, I'll just quickly show you from the actions. Again, I can validate the member this way. You can see it already populates the member ID for me. So it's now grayed out. I can validate them as the coach, staff, or bench staff. And now I'm just going to pick the team. So it's letting me know this member is valid for the team. I'm going to be able to add them when I go to roster. Liam, what was the next question?
Okay, so just to add on to that, she just said, sorry, more basic. Does Baseball Alberta assign the participant ID? The number, as soon as they're registered, is generated, right, Donna?
Yes.
Yeah, so
if
anybody in the, go ahead,
if
sorry.
they're a member that has played before, when they do a online registration, they're going to be able to search for themselves, and it by first name, last name, and date of birth, it's going to find them and you can pull it in. Or if it's a new member, as soon as they complete a registration, it assigns them a number.
And so she's actually asking again, they're using a different platform. So
Okay.
for that, if you guys are gonna have to import it, so we're working on that whole process and we'll get that information out as soon as it's ready to go. But when you guys import all those players, they will have a participant ID generated, so it should all be good.
Okay.
Okay, and then another question. Is it necessary to move all the players into teams if they are playing community house league? You mentioned for insurance, but if the player is registered in Spordle, they would be insured, correct? Or would you prefer all registrants to be placed on a team in Spordle? So I think, right, correct me if I'm wrong, Donna, for our reports and stuff, for the active season, we will need them all rostered, right?
Yeah, so just because they have a registration, it doesn't automatically insure them. Once you add them to the team, then we know that they should be insured, and we have a report that we can send to Baseball Alberta.
Yeah. Okay, and then one more question. What would this look like for a community division with multiple teams and players if the players are generally unknown by name or number?
Do you mean that I'm sorry, can you expand upon that just a bit?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Lene, are
Want
you?
to come off
Yeah,
mute?
yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Like normally in my system now, I can look up the kids, I can sort them by how they registered for their age divisions,
Mhm.
and then just go and click, 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 move over to a team.
Right.
Am I able to do that with
Yeah,
this?
so as soon as they register, it again it'll go by default for the age group. So if I'm pulling the U11, it's going to pull anyone that's now added to my system or into my my club. So when I'm searching, again, if they're new members or past members that they already have a profile in the system, I'm simply going to search and it's going to find all those members for that age group.
So then I can select the ones that I
Yeah.
want to put on that team and add
Yeah.
all of them at once.
Yep, so you can select, let's say I'm just going to select a few of them, and then I can just select them all. I'm just going to give them all a position, and then I can add.
And you want us to do this for every age group from like the 3-year-olds all the way up?
Yes. Okay. Liam, was there any other questions before I go on?
Nope, that was it from the chat. So
Okay, so the other things from once you get your rosters in here, let's say you want to move this one over, I can simply go to the action button and I'm going to delete. So the difference between delete and release is, let's say they've started to play, I need to cover them by insurance, but they're going to be, they're not continuing to play, or let's say they maybe on your competitives, they're moving teams, but I still want the history of them being on the first team. I'm going to release them. Okay. So once I release a member, it does show up in the release participants section. If I simply delete a member because I've made a mistake, I've added them to the wrong team, it's going to just remove them completely. It doesn't add them to the bottom. So I can just go ahead and add them to the other. It's when I delete, it doesn't add up. I don't know if you have cards or you're allowed so many players or release so many players, Liam.
yeah, like there'll just be a base roster
Okay.
number, and
Okay.
that's pretty much it. So
Okay.
yeah.
So when you delete, it's just kind of wipes it clean, but a released member does count in your count for the teams. Okay. The other things you're going to be able to see from the side panel is some, or you're going to be able to adjust, like you can be able to adjust the players, jersey numbers, and your branch or your district office or branch is going to be able to either approve a team all at once, or they can go in individually and change the status. So I'm going to add this one as, oh, where's approved? Move this one to approve. Sorry, I'm in the training site. Sometimes it doesn't always work. So we're just going to, you can add them there. Okay. Now, from the top action button, let's say I'm ready. I've added all my members. Liam, for the community ones, you don't want them to submit their approval, right?
Yeah, community league, just make sure all the players are in there. They won't
Okay,
need
so
to
you guys
submit.
can leave it in draft. If for your competitive teams, you are going to submit, you can write a comment if you want to. This is letting me know that I have a member that is either they have some missing information, maybe they haven't signed a waiver, but I'm going to send it in for approval anyways. If I send it in for approval anyways, again, that member turns pending deficient just until you get the waiver signed or update the information on the profile, and then it be approved on the team. Okay.
Just a quick question from the chat, Donna. It was, if I delete a player from a team, does their information stay on as a member? I believe that is a yes.
Yeah, so all the information from the member side, it doesn't change anything on their profile. It just removes them from the team. Okay. So I'm just going to submit this team again. You can see it is now pending approval. So a notification would go to your branch. They're going to be able to go in here, approve it, cancel it, or reject it. So I'm just going to approve it. If I go into the team information box now, I can see the stamp of the different logs that it's in there. Carrie, do you have a question?
I do have a question. I guess this goes back to sometimes we have some movement between
Mhm.
our female baseball players and our softball
Yeah.
Alberta players.
Mhm.
How are we dealing with that? Are we just keeping them on the team?
So if I could answer that one,
Mhm.
the best thing would be just please keep softball separate. Like we don't want softball teams and stuff in our Sportle. That
Yeah.
being said, if you do have some players moving around, just make sure you add them as members in your Sportle ID for baseball if you're adding them to a team. But we definitely don't want softball teams and players and members for softball that are only doing that being added into ours, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. As the girls get older, there's not so much question about where they play, but our little girls, like our 9Us and our 11Us, we have just, especially 9U, we just have all the girls and boys register under the U9 as baseball is what we've been doing. And then if we need to underage some girls to go up to 11U or whatever, just to make a team, we will ask the parents if they'd like to move to softball. So then what happens now? We've got these members and we've now moved them to softball. Should we delete it here and then just add them?
So once you have a profile in Sportle, you're not able to delete the profile, but you can just leave it and it'll go inactive.
Okay.
So if they could, like, if it was all just unconfirmed, that would be fine too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Okay. So we do also have an option for confirm missing waivers from the actions button. So let's say you have a team or you have a physical copy of the waivers instead of actually having them done online, or you have permission from some bench staff or some players to sign the waivers on their behalf. You can go in here and use this feature. So you do have to say whether or not you got a verbal consent or you have a physical copy of the waiver, but it is an option for you. When you are doing this though, it will sign anyone that has missing waivers. Okay, so you do want to be careful and make sure that you do have that consent from the parents or the family, or have a physical copy just in case there's any ever accidents or anything that needs to be covered. Okay, but that is an option for you. Okay. Now, so as I said, for the communication tool, we do have the 3 options when you are doing it from the team. So again, you have it from the option from the action button. It pulls everyone from the team. You can download a contact list, and anytime you're doing a communication, you have that option. You do have the option of doing it just from each different section under here. The other ways you can use the communication tool is from the member search itself. Let's say I have my U11 team. I have a couple extra spots I want to fill. I'm going to do a search. I might do a filter search for 9 and 10-year-olds that have played, or I have a profile for them in my system. So I have a few here. I'm going to select them from the action button on the side panel. I can send a communication. So again, I do have the option of downloading it. I do have the option of removing anyone that I don't want to send an information to. Or I can do a search by adding their participant ID. When you are doing a communication, you do have to accept the terms and conditions. So this communication tool through Spordle ID is intended for sports management. It's not for promotions or third-party promotions. Okay, so it is specific to your sports information. Okay, when you are also sending an email through the system, you can select the reply to address. It does not come into Spordle ID. It by default, it is going to be sent to whatever you are logged in as, or you can change it and send it to a different address. The only time you will receive emails in Spordle ID is if you're sending it from one club to another. Anytime you're sending it to outside of Spordle ID, it comes from a no reply email address. It has been whitelisted, so it's not going to show up in the spam folders, but any replies go to your personal email address. Okay. The third way you can do a communication is right from the communication tool itself. When I compose, if I select the organization, so I'm going to select this one, it pulls anyone that is listed in my members or my user tab or my staff tab. So you can go in here again, remove anyone that you don't need. I can download a contact list and I can send my information. Or you could also send it by participant. So if you happen to know the participant ID number, you can do that. Or you can search by first name, last name, date of birth, and find some members. But the easiest way, again, is either through the teams or through the member search. When you are doing it, let's say I want to send a member to all my registrations or all my members. It does only select 500 at a time. So that would be the maximum of 500. Okay. Is there any questions about the communication tool?
So I just got a quick question with that limit. I know we've talked a little bit about opening that up. If that absolutely can't happen and we can't do that, is there still, so say an association has 1,200 members, is there a way of sending, like where do those extra members get hidden on that page?
Yeah, so
you know what I mean?
What my suggestion is, and what I do for my own club, is I send it out by age division, or I select a couple age divisions at a time. So with a member type, I like to do it that way too. So a member type, if you remember, it gets reset every single year. A member gets a type put on their profile by a registration or being added to a team. So if I'm going to do a member type of player, and let's say I just want to do an age group for, you know, I'm going to only find current members that with a registration or been added to a team this year. So it's one way of doing the filter search and sending it to the current members. If I'm looking for members opposite that I'm looking that are not have a registration or not been on a team this year. So let's say I'm trying to fill those, I can go no member type and then put in my filter search. And it's going to find members that don't have member type. Okay, so that's my suggestion for doing the, so you don't go over the 500 and you can do an age group at a time.
Okay. Just another question in the chat. So Linnea asked, are we going to be able to send it to more? So that kind of just got answered. Are we restricted in communications we send? Sometimes we need to communicate fundraising information to our membership. I
So
think that would be
Yeah,
fine.
fundraising is fine. Yep.
Yeah.
They just don't want emails going, like, hey, there's a party this weekend, that kind of thing. But all like club information, that's no problem. Okay. When you are, just so you know, let's say I have a message that does come in, so I will get a notification if say Liam sends me one through. So he can send ones to certain divisions or certain clubs, or he can select all. So it will come in here. You are going to be able to see your sent. You can archive some, and you can set as favorites. Again, but your inbox will only be ones that come through the system. It won't be from anything outside. Okay. The other thing is that I believe it's coming very shortly. You're going to be able to send it from the reports. So when that comes, I will put a news article. So when you go in here, I will have something posted under here and letting you know that you're now going to be doing it through the reports. So I'll show you how that works at the report session, but that should be coming soon. Carrie?
Okay, so if Liam or Baseball Alberta is going to send out communications, you're saying that they could show up here?
Well, so if he was sending it to like all the registrars or all the clubs, and he wanted to send an he could send it and you would have it in your inbox.
Okay, and so Liam, do you know what the plan is there? And I guess maybe the question is, will we also receive a notification, let's say, to our email accounts so we can go check that kind of idea?
I believe that'll go to their email as well, right, Donna?
Yeah, and there's
Yeah,
also
so-
a notification up here for whether or not you want to get a notification that you have or a communication one in here somewhere.
Yeah, so the goal is definitely, once everybody's on board with this, it'll be so much easier to just quickly contact someone. It'll be through Spordle. You'll get it also in your email. And then it'll just be pretty seamless for us. So yeah.
Okay, really good. Thank you.
Does anyone want me to go back over anything, or do you have any questions at all?
One question I'll have maybe to just add, I know for overage players, it'll be for 18U division for sure. There'll be some players added. When they're added to the roster, how, like, because you can't search for them, how does that all work?
So if you have to do or adding an overage or underage member, when you click add here, you do have to assert or put in their member ID number. So that's the way that you're going to be able to search for them and add them to the team. Now, you do have to also have it set up in the team restrictions. So in the team restrictions, again, by default, it will be by your age group. But under the team restrictions, you can say whether or not or how old or what the underage or age can be set to. Okay.
So, yeah, we'll set all that up. Should be good.
Yeah.
And then my other question was, could you just go over submitting team or like for team entry into a league? Because our rep leagues and our teams that we do schedule will have to do a team entry. So they'll have to search for that team. I've kind of went through it myself, and but yeah, if you could just show that. Yeah.
So it's from the action button at the top. So you can click up here for participate in team or tournaments. So I'm just going to click into here. I'm going to search for, I'm in the test site or the training site right now. So I didn't set up one ahead of time. Apologize about that. So under here, it would select or find the league that I want to set that up to, and what are the competition. Okay. And you're going to be able to set some notes if you want to. I'm going to click cancel for a second. And that's the same with the tournament. So the tournaments will be set up. You will be able to click the drop down and add it to the tournament. And select each option and add any notes. So it's quite simple in there. Okay. I apologize that I didn't have that ready.
Yeah, no worries. So for anyone that's
this
kind
where
of
we
how, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry. Is this where you would apply for your provincials as the community league? Or
No, we're not. So for provincials, we'll set those all up. That'll be different, but this will be for your provincial league play. So if you were going to join the ERRBL league, or if you were going to join a AA league, when you go to add those leagues, it'll say AA league, just search AA league. You're going to just request to be sent in, to be added. It'll be sent to us. We'll look at it, and then we can decide whether we approve you or not, or if we don't, we'll send you a message as to why and all that kind of stuff. So that's how team entry will be done for this year. So
Okay, does anyone else have any questions? So the next session, I do have it scheduled for next Wednesday night. I know you guys were kind of might be on break, so Liam, did you know if you wanted to switch the date for that?
I think we'll keep it the same.
Okay,
I
so
think
it'll
it
be
should be
next
fine.
Wednesday night at 7:30. I will be going over reports for that one. The following one will be Spordle play for the scheduling and timekeeping. Okay.
could I just comment on so I just got into Spordle today.
Okay.
And so I was setting up my account.
Mhm.
And I was really struggling getting an address to stick. I'd have to say that probably over 50% of my membership is rural. So
So you should be able to click to manually add it, and it does give you the option for the PO box, or you can put land survey in there.
right. And so just a question for Liam, like
Mhm.
what is the intent of that address? Is this, I think in hockey, we have to provide like our legal land location. So, lot block plan. Is this just a mailing address thing? In which case my mailing address never works in those forms because I need to provide a site and a range road along with my box number. So yeah, just kind of wondering what the intent of that is, because then otherwise I'd give you my blue sign, but that usually doesn't meet anybody's requirements. So just a thought. That one was a bit of a struggle for me to try and get that to her. Yeah.
So like, are you like, do you not want to add any addresses? Is that what you're saying, or like for the players?
The reason why I would need a mailing address for my organization, we're all really, I mean, I live in a town of 800 people, so that's a little different for us. But if it's
you,
about
like,
making sure we're in a certain area, like hockey is, like the zones,
yeah.
I know, I'm pretty sure we have to provide a land location if we're out in a rural area. Because those automated lookups just don't work. And then even when I went to manual and I'm trying to put in my postal box, I don't have enough boxes. It won't let me. It didn't like PO Box 19 is not my mailing address. I need 3 other things in that. Yeah.
Let's set up a call tomorrow or something, and we can go over that just so that we can get everyone finished here through today. But like we'll figure it out. It should be all good.
Yeah.
We'll come up with something.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other questions? Okay. Well, have a good night, everyone.
Okay, thanks, Donna. Appreciate it. Amy's just asking, how do we view prior meetings? We're gonna post all of those after the 4 sessions. just so that we just want more participation. We don't want people just watching the recordings and stuff. So we're gonna post all of them once we're all done the sessions here. So 2 more left, and then they'll all be uploaded.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Thanks, Donna. I'll hop off now.
Okay. Have a
Appreciate
good
it.
night. Bye.
Yeah, you too. Bye.